Good evening, everyone. This is Awesomism Book Club, Week 3. I'm Terrie Curry here in Denver, and I have with me tonight two of Suzy's Level 3 practitioners. Fran from Florida. Fran, can you give us a hello?
Hi from Florida. We're enjoying a nice evening here, and I'm so thrilled to share what I've experienced thus far as being an ALSEP 3 practitioner. Enjoyed to be with all of you here tonight, whenever it's your time.
And we have Rachael. She's from Australia, all the way to Australia. And what time of the day is it there now, Rachael?
Hi everyone. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. It's Wednesday morning here, so good morning, good evening. I'm from obviously Bunbury, so yeah, Australia.
Great. Okay, and we're glad to have everyone with us on this. We really want to encourage a dialogue. We have Q&A set up that you can just write in questions or even comments. So do that if you feel like it. And I will share those by just reading the dialogue from the screen here. So we'll start this evening with an overview. We're doing chapters 5 and 6. And so, Rachael, would you give us a quick overview of chapter 5?
Certainly. Chapter 5 is basically understanding the behaviours of children diagnosed with autism. And that's just a huge piece. Once you there's more understanding going on, so much more makes sense about behaviours, what they're reacting and responding to, and it just is so helpful as being a parent. So, yeah.
Okay, great. And Fran, how about chapter 6?
Chapter 6 is basically let's get practical. So it brings together these behaviors of these vibrational beings. We're all vibrational beings, and how we can bridge together so they are able to feel more comfortable where they are, and we as parents or caregivers or family members or just community people in the surroundings with them can also assist by allowing our behaviors to join with theirs and accepting and seeing them who they are without judgment.
Great. Okay, we'll just start with chapter 5 then. We'll dig right in. In the beginning of the chapter, Suzy says, she really talks about the child's behavior being based on energy. And this seems to be a big point in the chapter, to realize that these children are vibrational beings, which is somewhat different from how we view ourselves. Would you want to comment on that, Rachael?
Yeah, definitely. For myself, it was through a process of just observing my children, just watching them, and it was more they seemed to be reacting and responding and interacting with something I couldn't physically see. So it was so wonderful to finally read that chapter and have words to what I'd been experiencing and seeing with them. And once there's that understanding, you just open to so much more, and there's so much more that then they show you. My mind couldn't grasp the concept, in all honesty, because it's like, well, if I can't see it, but watching my kids react, respond, and that seemed paramount or the most important thing, even though I couldn't physically see it. So it just, but the mind didn't like that concept, I must admit. It took quite a while, but they continually showed it to me that seemed to be so. And then that's when obviously the word energy comes in, and what does that really mean? But they show you, when you look without expectation, I suppose, and it was just observing them. So that was profound for me. So many things fell into place with that.
Great. And yes, Rachael, you have 3 children not diagnosed with autism, but on the autism spectrum. So, so we'll get to hear a lot about your experience with them. So, okay, and Fran, Suzy says, see the behaviors for what they are. So what do you think Suzy means by this, or what did that mean to you when you read the book or your experience with the practitioner's program?
Well, no longer making a judgment, see the behaviors for what they are. So what could that behavior be telling me what's going on? And since they're vibrational beings, I know that they're processing energy, and they're processing it. They see and feel much more than me, being not on the spectrum, or we would say neurotypical beings. So looking at the behavior not as a reflection of, am I a good mom or a good teacher because they're having a behavior, but instead seeing it as a process, and this is just how this child needs to process a behavior, period. No judgment. And then through love, so they can actually exist and be who they are without having to confine them into what I consider, or what the role of a student should look like or a child should look like, and just let that go.
That's great, and that leads kind of to the next point, and that is, as your awareness increases, so does your vibration. So really, what does that mean, or how does someone know, if they have increased in awareness, or if their vibration has increased, if they're brand new to this whole idea? Rachel, you want to comment?
Yeah, definitely. For me, it's more, you just notice things. It's always like, oh, what's that? And you're more open. As soon as you have moved past what's wrong here, what have I done, and as Fran beautifully said, once you move out of that guilt as a parent of where is it my fault, or how do I fix this, you just all of a sudden, it just notice things, and they get stronger, I suppose, and you're not more rigid in what you're expecting to see, and it's not a fixed, we need to do this, we need to do that. It's more, oh, I wonder what this is, and I wonder what's possible here, and it's softer. It's so much softer.
Yes, it seems like the fear and the guilt, those emotions really block those subtle messages, I think, not only with it, but just in life in general. So do you have anything else you want to say about that, Fran?
I feel like it would be an overarching feeling of peace in your heart as you start seeing them. Then the true love can surface with you. And as you look at them more with fascination and joy and caring, and rather than, I have to hide this behavior, we have to change this behavior is uncomfortable, or what will people think of me? It's so fascinating what a behavior can bring up in a room. So as you become okay with it, the joy and the love comes through, and there's that peace of there's nothing broken, nothing needs to be fixed, and everything's perfect.
Yes, and that word fascination is great in relationship to these behaviors, because Suzy goes on to mention like 5 behaviors that are typical for kids diagnosed with autism or on the spectrum, and somewhat different maybe than other children, but maybe the same. So these are toe walking, spinning, flapping, nonsense words, repetition, and stimming. And I found these quite fascinating once you realize what the children are really being with all of this. It's just amazing. It's like kind of seeing through a portal. So do you have excuse me, Rachel, do you have any experience with these behaviors with your own children?
Yes, definitely. It is, and it's that fascination again with that, and watching them. And for me, once I grasp the concept of energy, and they're feeling things in their body, and it takes all the fear out of it, and oh, please don't do that, and oh, we've got to stop this. And as soon as you start to feel uncomfortable about that, they then reflect that even more. So the more you can find peace with it and just go, you know what, that's just how it is, and we've all got quirks and things, and the last thing we want anyone to do is pick on things we feel that are quirky, and it just exacerbates that. So, and for me, even though I couldn't fully understand what it would feel like to have energy in your body, and the way I related it for myself was if I was sitting uncomfortable or something, and your foot goes to sleep or your leg goes to sleep or you've got a cramp or something like that, you wouldn't just sit there and feel that. You instinctively start to move and you stretch it out or you walk it off or you something, and it's just realizing it's just, if something feels uncomfortable, you just move, and if you can just see it as movement, that really shifts it. And I know some of the behaviours I will sometimes copy with my kids, and they sort of look at you like, oh, and it's just like, cool, we're moving some energy, and whether it's hand flapping or we spin, and the lightness of that, it seems to move so quickly. And it was interesting when I sort of was re-looking at the book and thinking, oh, I've almost at the point I don't particularly notice them as, it's just more something they do and who they are, not, oh, they're doing a behaviour. And as you change, they are so quick. And I know you hear it, it's immediately, it's within a couple of seconds, it shifts and moves, and yeah, and it's just that constantly they're bringing you back to how you feel about something is how they respond. I still every day see that and take that in, and yeah, it's still profound every time, and it's yep.
Yes, and really we always hear, if you excuse me, if we are who we are, then allows them to be who they are. But in your example, Rachel, it's really by them being who they are, then you really are more who you are. I mean, that's it comes out with that behavior. In the toe walking, Suzy gives a good example of how a parent can shift. And she says, if you see the energy in your body all the way down to your toes and ground into the earth, immediately the child might lower their feet, and as you feel this connection or feel more connected, so do they. So little tricks like that. She gives some examples. I'm sure you have ones of your own. Anything I don't want to keep you out of this, Fran. Do you have anything else to say about that?
Well, I kind of relate it for myself, since from my perspective, I do not have children on the spectrum. I've been in scenarios where they are about, and what I relate the energy to for me is sometimes if I drink too much caffeine, I'll feel like this little buzzing and jumping, and I want to get up and move. So, and that's just something very simple that I can relate to, because I don't want to sit still if I have caffeine running through me. So I want to walk it off. I want to move. I want to get out of it. Not get out of it. I just want to allow that energy to run through. So as we look at how they are processing more than we can imagine when it comes to energy, it makes perfect sense that they would want to move. And movement is a natural response to an energetic following, so to speak. So it assists me to see how that process, and it's almost for me exciting to see, because the magnetics of the earth, they pick even up magnetics of the earth that are very subtle energies, and there's the spinnings and the flappings are just processing this energy. So I know there's shifting going on for humanity. So I see a bigger picture. So when I do see the behaviors, and I'm good with them, because I'm like, they're processing. I wonder what's happening here with humanity. What's shifting? What's moving? And it gets me excited to hold a more joyous energy rather than something of a denser energy.
Yes, it does get exciting when you see it from that point of view. And Suzy even says in her book that the spinning is like electrical energy in a power plant. It spins through coils on its way to becoming usable. And then the flapping, again, due to electromagnetics of the earth changing. It's really like a child experiencing a lightning bolt. So it's right along with what you're saying, Fran. But the one I found most fascinating is stimming, and this repetitive behavior being their effort to try and grasp and function in time. Rachel, do you have any comment on that? That's really a fascinating one.
It is, and it's for myself. It's when you're in the moment with my youngest. She loves things spinning, so like spinning tops, or if you spin a coin on a table, or the absolute delight in her watching that. And she's just get, we get a word, we get more, so it's like we just get, and she is so present, and so there every time we do that, it's exciting like it's the first time for her. There's no, we don't, she doesn't put it into boxes like we do. Okay, we've done that once, finished, let's move on. It's, yeah, and it's amazing her excitement in redoing that over and over. It pulls us all in as a family. All of a sudden we're all enjoying the excitement because she's experiencing it so in that moment. And yeah, so it's a fascinating, I mean, I appreciate there are some things that they do that are annoying, and because it is repetitive. But once you start adding that they feel that straight away. So it's, yeah, finding, it's just them being in the moment and enjoying that, or realizing they're processing differently. They don't process like neurotypical, I suppose. So yeah, but the more you can just see it for what it is without adding. As soon as you start adding how you feel about it, things are different. So, but they really show you and bring you in that moment, like it's happening, fresh, new. It's like they're watching. Yeah, it is. It's actually quite exciting on some levels to watch and see that joy, and they're just, yeah, they actually pull you into their fascination, and so it is, yeah, it is an incredible experience.
Yes, and the fact that they're trying to really kind of get used to the model of past, present, future, and yet they're in the now, now, now. To
Yeah,
reverse that, as I read this, I tried to reverse it and tried to imagine what that would be like to be in the now, 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 and not ever be in the past, present, future. So, what a wonderful thing that can teach us. And Fran, do you have anything to say about that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I find it fascinating because who is not thinking about what they're cooking for dinner, or going to the grocery store on the way home, or as you're driving, thinking about how the day went and where are you? And I think about how many crashes I see on the roads because we really are not in the moment and we're not present. We're just somewhere else. And what an example to be present. Everything is fresh and new. It's always exciting, and there's no judgment because it's like, oh, look at the wonder. How is it to be in wonder every day and every moment? To be in wonder, I think it's amazing. And even more so that try, they're trying to understand the way we are in linear time with what you just said, the past, present, and future. And it takes them repeated movements for whatever it is, whether pushing a car or even holding a pencil, that they have to do it again and again and again before they're able to have an idea of what it is to not be in the moment. So to actually learn something, it takes them 30, 40, 50 times to know how to hold a pencil, just because it's always fresh and new, and it's always, and they see beyond what that piece is. We're not seeing what they're seeing, how possibly that pencil is connected to the table and connected to their hand, and it's like an extension of them and an extension of everyone in the room. We don't see what they're seeing. So our judgment on it keeps us confined, yes. And the other piece that I found interesting in this chapter was the piece about saying odd words or made up words or words that seem inappropriate, and how Suzy talks about feeling the energy of the word, not so much what the word means. Is because sometimes it may be a word that sounds, or it could be judged as that's a bad word, but there could be joy and play inside of the word. So just to feel the word rather than judge what the word of the meaning is. So that was a new area for me. So, and I can see that happening. I have seen that unfold and making lots of people uncomfortable. So they are shifting a room, say a lunchroom. That is some fascinating stuff. So thank you.
Yeah, and I feel the same way as you do, Fran. Just as I watch all of these kids are showing us, it's interesting because I can learn from it in my own life, with my relationship with other people, and that's really what they're doing, is bringing all this awareness to all aspects of our life. And just the fact that they sense emotions so readily and so clearly. I've seen that with my 2-year-old grandson. He picks up when I'm watching a movie. He's just calm, and if I get all into the movie and get scared, he'll say, "What's wrong? You know, what's wrong?" He doesn't read it the same way. So it's great to be able to apply it to all of life. Anything else you two want to mention as far as chapter 5 goes? If not, we're ready to move on to chapter 6.
I will say something. For me too, Fran brought up the point of the energy behind the words, and I find that the kids sometimes they will, not only with words, they use, sometimes there'll be a song, a song they keep wanting to hear over and over and over, or a certain movie that they want to watch over and over, and often that's another way of communicating a message in that. Sometimes it's the moral of the story, or what do the words mean, or how do those words make me feel. But they use things, I find, well, my children do actually use music and movies a lot.
Rachel, can you give us like an example of a recent one, like a recent song or recent movie that they played around with and brought it, to your awareness?
Okay. Okay, my youngest child, she kept wanting to watch this Looney Tunes cartoon movie over and over and over, and once she sort of stays with something and continually wants it, I realise that there's something in that for me. So I kept looking at the Looney Tunes cartoons, and it was like, is our place a bit of like a cartoon character or something like that? But the more I sat with it, and it took me quite a while, and one morning it dawned on me, it was, out of the Looney Tunes characters, there's only 2 characters she would ever mimic or copy, and that was Roadrunner. She'd be beep beep and running like Roadrunner, or she would copy Bugs Bunny. She'd be, "What's up, Doc?" And it took me a while, and then I was like, okay, so there's only 2 characters that she will mimic and pay attention to, and it was like, then you have the aha moment, and seeing Bugs Bunny or Roadrunner, they are calm, cool, collected. They are not fazed by anything that happens to them. They're just, it doesn't matter what, Daffy Duck or Coyote does. They're just being and doing, and they're just so casual, calm, and collected. And as soon as I went, all right, so not, the relation obviously is whatever my life's, being thrown at me or going on, you can still maintain that calm, cool presence, I suppose. And as soon as I got that, it's like she doesn't want to watch Looney Tunes anymore. We move on to the next one, and it's like with, the next time it's like, Looney Tunes. No, we're on to something else. And so I find that fascinating. And even though I'm experiencing it, it still just is astounding how much awareness. How does she know that's the? It's just profound amazement, I suppose, and so much more respect, even if they're in a little body, but that's not seeing the body. It's like there's so much wisdom and knowledge. Like, it took me weeks to piece it together. So just incredible. So there you go.
They make it so much fun and so simple. It's not a big philosophy or using big words, just so simple and fun. Okay, so we'll move on to chapter 6, and this is another chapter that she focuses on what's practical. A couple of points. A child operates on pure feeling. At the pure feeling level, we operate on the physical and mental level. And so she's really describing what to do if you were in a moment of mini crisis with the child when they're throwing a tantrum or whatever. So that's one thing, to really realize that they're in pure feeling. The second is to observe, just be the observer. I think, Rachel, you talked about that, just to observe rather than be reacting. And in that capacity of observing, to change the way you feel. Third, which this was new to me, she mentions in that situation to take a child's hand, if you can, without upsetting them more, and press your thumbs firmly into the palms of their hands. And she also mentions the feet work also. And the fourth point she makes is the more you force it and try to make them do it your way, the child will go just the opposite, that this is just physics, and this is true with all children for sure. But some of these kind of go against the tradition or against the grain. So, Fran, you can comment first, and we'll hear from Rachel, who's, I'm sure, got some real life stories to relate to all this.
Yes, I bet. That's going to be exciting to share. I like it because what I find is it's no different than in any scenario, because it appears to be a very collaborative scenario. So for me, if someone is in upset, I have to own my piece. And since they're so sensitive, I'm not sure where that upset is coming from. It could be in the environment. It could be coming and stemming from me. So the first thing and the only thing that I can do is look where I am. So I know Suzy talks about taking a deep breath. How easy is that? And then the observer can step in. So anytime, in this chapter to me is all assisting those on the spectrum and assisting ourselves to become alignment and become a conduit, a bridge, so that this collaborative play can occur. So I know she talks about it being in the moment. So we can get in the moment by taking a deep breath. And that is for, I mean, since I was a child, I remember if you're upset, count to 10 or just something to center you. And it can shift you at that moment. And Rachel had already discussed that all it takes sometimes is her just to be and watch and observe, and it shifts the behavior. And it's not for me to change them, because once again, I want to bring the point. The goal is not to change them. The goal is to assist in this collaborative dance. So, but as I own my piece of it, they become more in balance with who they are, and their light bodies can sink further into their own body, so they're not having to play out in the etheric realms, that they're actually coming here to play in the human form, no matter what it looks like, so we can drop the judgment. So for me, in this part of acting out, it's just the beauty of seeing it and owning. So I own my piece of it, and the first thing I can do is center myself, take deep breaths. You talked about pressing the palm. I actually have done that. Amazing. It is amazing. I mean, and you can do it with just a child, like your 2-year-old you were talking about. Even if he's upset, we all have the vortexes in our hands. They're just more attuned. But it's the same thing. Even with babies, I remember doing massage, and you touch their feet and they would relax. So we all have it within us as well. So I take it broadly. I think it just can be used everywhere. So
great. And yes, and she also Suzy also says that there's a high success rate for children that are bringing their parents into this subtle awareness. And if parents are willing to work this way, then there has been high success rate with the children and the parents connecting. So Rachel, I'm sure you have something to say about all that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's just, it's like, as Fran said, just like when she was just watching them, and it's almost like once you get past that guilt and what have I done wrong and what you imagined having a child was going to be like and what you expected, once you sort of can remove that and go, okay, what's here? And because with this whole chapter on let's get practical, if there's so much guilt going on and frustration, and it's like, oh, why can't they just do this and why can't they do that? It just, you just go around in circles, and it's then moving that of the breath is just, you know, instantly they're doing something and you can feel it coming up, and it's just like, oh, just breathe, and it's constantly bringing it back to self. How do I feel in this? How am I reacting? They're doing, yeah, it's just, and I mean, it is constant and continual, but what a gift. The second you start to shift a little bit in what you think or expect, or they show you that so quickly. It's just this beautiful dance that does unfold, and you know, it can be so magical and so special, and that connection is, yeah, pretty incredible and amazing. But it does, you know, there are challenges every day, and it's just constantly reinforcing that breath and just, yeah, hugely so. Very, I see it all the time, yeah.
Okay, and I know, Fran, you had said you really see how this applies broadly, which I love. And this can even be seen in the next topic that she talks about, and that is, you know, how to bring yourself into the moment, or bring this connection when you're with your child into the moment. And she talks about different ways to do that: singing, painting, dancing, nature, having fun. Fran, you never have fun, do you?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm having fun right now. I am so in the moment right now. But I like this piece too, because if there is some upset coming up, and I know as they process so much more energy, Suzy reminds us too that we can model. If we tone down our energies, for instance, closing our eyes, that's less visual stimulation. If we cover our ears or plug our ears, that's less auditory stimulation. That deep breath causes the calm to set in. So whatever we can do with the outside world for ourselves, press our feet into the ground, that's a big one. So just whatever we can do in that moment, and all it takes, that deep breath. You close your eyes with the deep breath, you can close your ears, relax into it. That, according to Suzy and according to what I've seen in my volunteer work, huge impact. So yeah, amazing stuff. And being in the moment, music was amazing just to set the tone, or even a tone. Even me providing a tone will create a flow. Nature is a call. It grounds everyone. It doesn't matter what you are. Go into nature and you're surrounded by being in the moment. The tree's not trying to be a rose, and the grass is not trying to be a flower. Everything is in its place, and it's all perfect. So as we honor that, we bring that in the moment for us. So being in the moment, dancing, painting, singing, those are the physical activities that keep us in the moment. It's the mental games that keep us out of the moment.
I love that. Rachael, and can you add to that, but also include color, the way color shifts? She talks about letting a child pick out the shirt, the color of the shirt they want to wear. This would go with all kids. Kids love this, you know. Yeah. And instead of getting the outfit that matches, and maybe they don't want to wear yellow that day, and also picking the blanket that they like. Did you do that naturally with your children, or did you kind of tune into it after you read some of these things? And did you see, you know, your children?
It's colour has always interested me. I like to wear colour myself, but with the kids, you do. It's that I suppose our language of our house has changed a lot too. It's more like, what do you feel like wearing today? And it's that giving them that option. And my youngest one, because she doesn't dress herself, but I use coloured tea towels in the kitchen, so they're always in the kitchen drawer. There's always different coloured tea towels, and so she has access to them, and she will often go and grab a colour and wave that around and, you know, play with that. And I find it interesting, the more we use colour, often we'll all wear the same colour on the same day, and we didn't even know what other people were wearing. But I notice that when I'm hanging out the washing too, it's like, oh, yesterday was a green day, and oh, today's blue. But yeah, the colour is, yeah, colour is just, it's really interesting and just give them the colours to play with, and they're drawn to colours for whatever. It's not getting into the mental of why, but just enjoying that. And also just expanding on what Fran said, music is a huge one. We use music a lot. It's just amazing how it can just shift and it just flows. But music is quite profound, and nature. We live really close to the beach, and we're often at the beach, and it's just to get your feet in the sand, in the water, and just, yeah, it's really helps, I suppose, for myself mainly too. Is it helps me to find myself in my day where it can get so busy, and sometimes just 10 minutes at the beach, and it's as soon as I'm feeling more like that, then the kids reflect that again. So yeah, it's a bonus both ways. So yeah, love colour, love music.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think clothes in general, not only color, but kids like to pick out all kinds of things to wear. So I always had a drawer at home, a bottom drawer that I just throw, old clothes in, and they would always be picking out wild combinations, to wear, which I always personally loved. But anyway, okay, that's. Can you think of anything else in Chapter 6 that you'd like to bring up? Because that's kind of concludes my my points of interest here.
I wanted to say something. There is an overarching comment or theme within this chapter of practicality, because the bottom line is they, like us, they, no different than us, want to feel the connection, not with words, not with how we are used to connecting with people, but by doing these activities, like the music, being in the moment, they feel the connection of where we are, because we're authentic in ourselves, and they are authentically being themselves. And that's where the beauty of the bridge and our conduit, our assistance occurs, is that want, or it's not even a want, it's that camaraderie of connection. And I just felt that as a huge part of let's make it practical, let's make it real. Because parents, family members want that connection. It looks different. It's not our old model. It's not like, oh, mom, I love you. Oh, child, I like to play with you. It is a true heartfelt connection, and it's bringing us back to our unconditional love-centered space. And I just wanted to share that piece.
Yeah, that's great, Fran, because in Chapter 5, I didn't bring that up, but Suzy did say that that awesomism, she came up with that term awesomism, and to her that equals the oneness principle. So I thought that was beautiful. I hadn't really heard that before. And I wanted to point out also in the book was written a few years ago, I can't
2008.
2008, yeah, which is quite a few years now. But anyway, and it gives this statistic of 1 in 150 kids are now were diagnosed at that time. But that, I think, recently in the Wall Street Journal or some major paper, it came out that the statistic was now 1 in 68. And
right, 1 in 68 8-year-olds in the school system, which is a 30% increase in 2 years.
Yes.
That's what in the USA Today at the end of March. I recall reading that article recently.
Yeah, I wanted to get the specifics of what that 1 in 68 were, so thank you, Fran. But that just shows it's exciting, because that means the oneness principle movement toward that is not going away. And these kids are here, they're going to be here, and they're going to continue to change us through their emotions and thoughts. And just changing the earth along with all of us. So that's all I have to say for today. Anybody want to add anything? Last comment, Rachel?
I just would just enjoy them. Enjoy them. Definitely. There is so much there to be shared once you get out of the mind and just see, and there's a lot of magic and it's beautiful.
Yeah, nothing to fix and lots of magic.
That's it.
Okay, well, we will be back next week. We will be covering chapters 7 and 8. Hope you'll join us then. We will post the time. It's next week, Monday, May 12th at 6 p.m., same time, Pacific Standard Time, and we hope to see you then.
Thank you so much, Terrie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.